And welcome to the second hour of the Rachel Hammer Show. 256-684-8000 is the number if you'd like to join the conversation. Like us on Facebook, The Rachel Hammer Show, Twitter, _hammers, or you can email me directly at rachel.hammers@wekiradio.com. So on the line with us is Eric July out of Texas. He is an IT guy. He's an activist. He is the lead singer of Backwards. And go ahead and play a little bit of that, Brian. I like it. I heard some earlier.
This is called Grindstone.
Ended like that, but I'm back with a vengeance. The fire still in me, no pun intended. Fun to mention that now more than ever I'm in a complimentary situation. Apologize for the delay and appreciate everybody supporting real over fake. Hate that I had to make y'all wait. No intentions on burning bridges, but I need to mention that my last project is no competition. I'm much better. I've grown strong. Each line in my mind is 9 times better than any line that I rhyme. Cause I've seen much more, endured, explored. To complete my craft, I'm much more than before. I've learned my lessons, but no second guessing. I bring more to the table other than my complexion. Had my heartaches and had my laughter. Same book, just a whole new chapter. Back and forth a pit, who would have guessed it? Or was it just that? This is ludicrous and my stretch of bad luck. And my man should stood up, cause I ain't going out like that. Hold up.
Eric, how are you today?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I did a little bit of an intro for you in the first hour, so we didn't have to waste too much time on that.
Okay.
But I mentioned that I got to speak with you on the phone last night, and we talked about a variety of things, and you and I seem to agree on a lot of topics.
Yes, ma'am. We did have a great talk. Most definitely, I appreciate you having me on, and I'm really interested to kind of tackle some of these issues that that are really current right now.
Well, some of the things that I kind of went over in the first hour is you grew up in a single parent household, grew up in poverty, and had a mother who refused government assistance, a grandmother that refused government assistance, and basically taught you a work ethic. Taught you that, pride. That's what we were talking about last night, that this was about pride.
Right.
And how different the dynamic is from the way it used to be to what it is now. And so if you want to go ahead and go into a little bit of that and with your background and how that's affected you, we'd love to hear it.
Well, most definitely. I grew up, same old story that you hear a lot of young African-American children growing up in, poverty, grew up around poverty-stricken neighborhoods, didn't have a whole lot of money. Definitely once my father was out of the picture, my mother, she was doing everything she could, busting her tail to just put food, on the table and keep a roof over her head. She, like you said, she refused government assistance, no matter, she was more than eligible for it, but she refused to do it. She grinded and she gritted, and it really kind of instilled this sense of pride also in myself, to where I go around and anybody that says that I can't do something, I go out of my way to really seemingly to prove them wrong. I don't need a handout or anything like that. I grind and I grit to get anything and accomplish anything I can. And I know right now, which is I'm sure we're going to tackle this issue, this really isn't, or rather it doesn't seem, and I as an African American can say this, that it really doesn't seem like collectively that seems to be our attitude amongst the African American community.
Well, let's just start at the top. You were a Democrat, you campaigned for Obama, you voted for Obama in 2008, and what was that pivotal moment for you that made things change, that you said, wait, something's off?
Well, I mean, like you said, 2008, it came along. I was very intrigued by the fact that there was going to be an African American, or really a mixed half African American, but it was an African American in office. And amongst our culture, amongst African American culture, it was like, all right, because he's African American, we almost have to get behind him and support him. So I obviously been growing up around a bunch of growing up around Democrats, and I promoted it. I endorsed it. I campaigned for him to win, and he won. And everything was all happy and dandy and whatnot. But then, obviously I was in college as well during that same period of time, and I started getting access to all of these like books and things like that. And I started discovering I remember taking an economic class, and I wanted to kind of look and see, hey, are there any like African American economists? And that's when I started finding out about the Thomas Sowells and the Walter Williams. These are guys that you don't hear about really at all definitely by the left. You don't hear about these African Americans. And I remember looking at a video of Thomas Sowell on YouTube when he was talking about the welfare system. And it really just, kind of looking at Thomas Sowell and reading all of this and really just opening my eyes, I started to connect the dots, and I was like, wait a minute. This really doesn't make sense for me to support this party, and not just looking at those black economists and things like that, just looking at the history of the Democratic Party. I have really every reason not to support that party.
Well, and okay, so let me ask you this, and we're going to get into why you have every reason not to support that party in a minute. But you said, the black community felt like they needed to get behind him because here was the first African-American president. Mm-hmm. But yet you look at the Ben Carsons, the Tim Scotts, and a lot of the black community. I told you last night we had somebody here that said they didn't want Ben Carson. We could keep him.
Yeah, that seems to be Ben Carson. I love this guy's background, and really it feels like the left. They are going to. They don't want him to represent the Republican Party because really it crushes anything that basically for the last 50, 60 years the Democrats have been saying. He, grew up struggling and became what he is right now. And there hasn't been a collective black effort to support the Ben Carsons of the world. For one, I don't really honestly think a lot of people know about these guys, but you're right. We haven't really got behind these guys. These guys have came and went, and we really haven't got behind them. And obviously it doesn't fit the narrative, and partially because you see 95% of black folks vote for the Democratic Party. So it's one of those things like we're blind. Right now, we don't even want to accept anything outside of the Democratic Party. They got us right where they want us automatically. It doesn't matter who they put in the position. They're going to vote for them. As long as they're Democrat, they feel as if, all right, this is going to be the person for me. And I do see a lot of youngsters starting to come out, a lot of African Americans starting to simply open their eyes.
All right, Eric, we got to take a quick break. Stay with us, Eric July. When we come back, this is the Rachel Hammer Show.
Republican? No, I'm a Democrat. Not me. I'm a pedestrian.
Talk radio for real life. WEKI.
Over in Trinity on Highway.
There's one man you don't want against you in a court of law. Handle on the Law. Sunday nights from 9 to midnight on Talk Radio for Real Life. WEKI.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. This is the Rachel Hammer Show, 256-684-8000. If you want to join the conversation, like us on Facebook, The Rachel Hammer Show, Twitter at @R_Hammers, or you can email me directly at rachel.hammers@wekiradio.com. On the line with us out of Dallas, Texas, is the lead singer of Backwards, Eric July. And we are talking race today and his conversion from the other team. Not complete. You told me last night you're more libertarian, but
yeah,
you at least quit the other team.
Oh, most definitely.
So you said something earlier that kind of the government has people right where they want them. Mm-hmm. What did you mean by that?
Well, it seems like as long as you act as if you are catering to a certain demographic, culture of any sort. Definitely regarding African Americans, they have, with all of these entitlement programs and things like that, we are supposed to be under the impression that the Democrats are, we're supposed to support them. And when I say that they have us right where they want us, is we're going to go and faithfully give them 95% plus of the black vote. And as I said, it really, at this point, it doesn't seem like it even matters what they say or what they do. I mean, even though right now you look at the fact that the cities with the highest poverty rate and the highest crime rate and things like that, they're mostly predominantly African-American and or minority, but they're also ran by Democrats. If you look at Baltimore, like right now is the topic of conversation because of the whole Freddie Gray case and things like that. And you look at that city has a black Democratic mayor. It has the city council. That is the president of that city council was a black man, a black Democrat. And, the people that represent the House of Representatives that represent Baltimore City, they're white liberal Democrats. And they have us right with it. They can run our cities into the ground, and it's like we will look the other way and try to blame the Republican Party. And that's what I mean when I say that they have us right where they want us. We're going to faithfully give them our vote.
Do you think it's lack of education? Do you think it's just I hate to use the word ignorance, but people
ignorance
that just
in a literal sense, that's what it is. I mean, when you're talking about ignorance in a literal sense, what it means is like basically a lack of knowledge. And I feel like in order to gain knowledge, you have to embrace your ignorance. And that was one thing that I had to do growing up, and really just waking up, rather. I had to embrace my ignorance. Wait a minute. I didn't know that the Democratic Party had all of this baggage. They don't teach you that. They don't teach you that with the Civil Rights Act of 1964, how it was voted on by mostly the Republicans outvoted the Democrats. They don't teach you that. They don't teach you in schools that all of these policies, these discrimination laws and things like that were voted for by Democrats. They don't teach that. So I feel like, it really is a lack. It really is ignorant, and that's why we go out there and faithfully give them our vote.
Well, and one of the things I want to talk about, I know this is a short segment, but we can get into it for a minute. I have long said I think that the modern Democrat Party is modern day slavery. Mm-hmm. They're telling people where they can live, what they can do, and people are just caving to it, I guess. And one of the things I said to you last night is I would be so insulted, because I am a stubborn individual. And I would be so insulted if somebody said to me, this is where you're going to live, this is what you can buy, this is what you're going to do with your life, because we're just going to hand it to you because we don't think you can do any better. And that's what it seems like to me, is they're just pandering to that. Right,
correct. And that's exactly what it is. I mean, they were the party of slavery back then, the party of slavery right now. Except right now, the slavery is mentally. We go out there, as I said, we're supporting a party that has really done nothing for us. They have disguised these entitlement programs and things like that as if they are for us, but really what it is designed to keep us exactly where we are at, in poverty. So most definitely, modern day they were the party of slavery back then. They're the party of slavery right now.
How do you think the best, I mean, I know you said you went out and you campaigned for Obama, and you're using this as a platform to get your message out. And I want to talk about that when we come back. And I want to talk about, so many things. So we have to take a break. On the line, Eric July. This is the Rachel Hammer Show, 256-684-8000. If you want to weigh in on the conversation, stay with us.
Drop, you'll never say that I'm not killing them. Cause when I am not, then I'ma stop pinning them. And I am not hip-hop, and I'm just not ripping them. Subliminal thoughts when I'ma stop sending them. Women are caught.
The Dana Show, the conservative alternative. Weeknights at 6 on Talk Radio for Real Life, WEKI.
When it comes to your face, Allergan's got you covered.
Reach your business goals. That's crossdig.com.
Doing What Works with Maureen Anderson, Saturday afternoons at 4 on Talk Radio for Real Life, 1490 and 94.7 WEKI.
Guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Welcome back. This is the Rachel Hammer Show, 256-684-8000. If you want to join the conversation, like us on Facebook, The Rachel Hammer Show, Twitter _Hammers, or you can email me directly at rachel.hammers@wekiradio.com. On the line with us today is Eric July. He is the lead singer of Backwards. He is a recovering Democrat. And we are talking everything to do with race, his background, his upbringing, because that is what really makes him much more qualified to I can be a Monday morning quarterback, but that wasn't my reality growing up, and it was yours growing up in where you should have theoretically been a statistic.
Right. Oh, most definitely. That was the life I lived. I should have most definitely been a statistic. I grew up gang banging, doing all of that silliness, doing a lot of self-destructive things. So most definitely I should have been a statistics, but went grind, grit, did everything I needed to do, and I am who I am right now, and it really did take me getting a lot more educated on the subject of politics, on the subject of government, to really be able to attack these issues.
Well, one of the things I want to get into, I want to ask you first, one of the things we talked about last night was family and the breakdown of the family, and that being encouraged. But from my perception, race relations are worse now than I ever remember them being.
Right.
And is it the same from your perspective, or is it?
Well, most definitely. I mean, I feel like right now people are going out of their way to be offended. Definitely African Americans. It's almost like I can't blame them too much, because you have the folks over there like MSNBC and all those liberal platforms they're giving these guys a platform to be able to act as if they are offended. So I can't knock it too much, because hey, there's always going to be somebody that's going to be able to paint that narrative for them. So, but
there's people making a lot of money off of painting that narrative. Al Sharpton being one of them.
Most definitely. Yeah, they love that. They'll eat that up all day long. They love it. It fits the narrative. The whole black folks are getting the short end of the stick. Anything that fits that narrative, they'll eat that up. They'll give it a platform, fund it, endorse it, subsidize it. They'll do everything for that.
Now, we were talking about the breakdown of the family, and you grew up with a single-parent household. I've been a single parent myself. It's almost encouraged. And that's disturbing to me, because I don't think that should be anybody's first choice.
No, not at all. I mean, right now, no, not at all. That shouldn't be anybody's first choice. Growing up, that was not anything fun, where I had to learn from the streets, which is the last spot I need to be learning from the streets on how to be a man. Thankfully, I had my uncles and things like that to kind of mold me out of that nonsense. But being a family is not encouraged. Like, you look at what the government is doing right now, they don't encourage it, and actually I feel like they subsidize the splitting of the family. You look at it right now, if you're a man, you and your wife split, you guys have a kid, the courts, the government, all they care about is that financial obligation that the father has. They don't care about anything else. You don't have to see the kid, you don't have to be in the kid's life or anything like that. But they will most definitely subsidize the woman to basically be, like in my case, I had a woman trying to teach me how to be a man, and she just could not do it. It's no disrespect. Love my mama to death, and she'll admit that herself. She just could not do it, and that's what you have going on right now when the government is basically subsidizing this failure, this breaking of the family. You got kids raising kids. You got women trying to raise boys, turn them into men, and it's just not working.
Well, and the truth of the matter is, if I were to get a divorce today, and with 2 little girls, I could get where I live funded, I could get my utilities subsidized, I could get food stamps, I could go back to school for free, I could probably get a cell phone. I mean, I would benefit from financially being a single parent.
Yeah.
And then we were talking last night about these women who are going on making these YouTube videos talking about here's the best way to get a check, here's the best place to get a check if you keep popping out kids that they don't want to take care of. Obviously, I mean, not all of them, but there's a lot of them that are babies. They don't know how to take care of a baby.
Not at
don't
all.
want to raise
Not
a
at all.
baby. And, talking about you have your friends set their house up as their daycare and then you split the money. And we're encouraging this.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. You have we're encouraging this this foolishness is what I like to call it. We're encouraging this. The government's encouraging this. They're subsidizing it, and it's just so crazy because I think right now definitely more than ever, definitely in these poverty-stricken neighborhoods, these fathers they're needed more than ever. But you have a government basically saying, hey, you don't need them, you can split them, and we'll fund you. We'll give you whatever you need. We'll take care of you at the expense of the taxpayer. We'll take care of you. We'll give you a house. We'll give you everything you need. And that right there is just it's craziness. And to me, it's like my mother refusing to accept that. It's really offensive. It's like how can you basically try to give me that? You're basically saying, hey, you can't do it. You can't do it. You put yourself in this foolish situation. We got to set you up. So we'll give you whatever you need. And that to me is a slap in the face, which is why I would never, that's why my mother never accepted any kind of government funding, and I myself would never, no matter how down and out I got, I would never accept that because I don't need that. It's a slap in the face. And all it's showing is that the government, they really, like I said earlier, they got us right where, they want us.
Well, the mindset has changed so much. And this wasn't a racial issue. This was the mindset of my parents, especially my grandparents' generation, your grandparents' generation. Of you pulled yourself up by your bootstraps. You got back on the horse, and you went and did whatever it took to provide for your family.
Right.
And that was the mentality. And it's been over the course of, I don't know, the last few decades that it's been less and less and less about family. And it's almost like this generation behind us has turned to you owe me.
Yep. 100% true.
I don't owe you anything. We got to take a break. We're going to have much more with Mr. Eric July, lead singer of the band Backwards out of Dallas, Texas. This is the Rachel Hammer Show. Stay with us.
On the air with newsmakers that are on the scene. Late Night with Jim Bohannon. Weeknights at 9 on Talk Radio for Real Life. WEKI.
Special treat, folks. We have secured.
It's where the locals go. Holmes Avenue, Huntsville, and in Elkmont.
The official healthcare provider for our mascot Tiki is Catisfaction Cat Clinic in Madison. Talk Radio for Real Life. WEKI.
You mean I'm not white? It feels like it.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. This is the Rachel Hammer Show. 256-684-8000 is the number if you'd like to join the conversation. Like us on Facebook, The Rachel Hammer Show, Twitter at R_Hammers, or email me directly at rachel.hammers@wekiradio.com. On the line with us, Eric July, lead singer of Backwards. And Eric, if people want to go find your music, where can they go to get it?
Oh, they can go anywhere they want. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. You can get us at Facebook, facebook.com, Backwards, BACKWORDZ music. You can get everything there. We got all kinds of tunes for you.
Wonderful. All right, so we can't have this conversation and not talk about this. Can't let it go. I mean, this Rachel girl, not this Rachel girl, that Rachel girl.
That Rachel girl.
She is like the gift that keeps on giving.
Oh, wow.
So, just what is your take on this?
It's craziness. It's hypocrisy, but it's craziness. And I think the most crazy thing that I've taken from all of this definitely is
Uh-oh. I think we lost him.
Yep, we just
lost him. So, we'll talk to him about Rachel Dolezal, not this Rachel, as soon as we get him back on the line. So, he's gone. All right. Well, it happens. It's happened to me before too. So, but when he comes back, I do want to talk about the whole Rachel Dolezal thing. She's now been accused of misconduct on the Spokane Police Oversight Board. So that in and of itself is going to be an interesting development. And where I was going to ask him about the MSNBC statistics, because that's got to be a scientifically certified poll. But I think the biggest takeaway from this conversation with Eric so far is he's been there. He's been there. He's done it. He's lived that lifestyle and took the time to educate himself and at least make an educated decision on whether or not this was the party for him. So we got him back. All right. Eric, so I was asking you about Miss Rachel Dolezal and her transracial discussion, I guess. And I had mentioned earlier in the show that MSNBC did a poll, so it's got to be very scientific. That
yeah, of course.
71% said it's perfectly okay for her to be black.
And I wouldn't expect nothing less of MSNBC, and I also wouldn't expect nothing less of the people that support that foolishness. I mean, the fact that she was able to rise up in the ranks, she's white as I don't know what, but was able to rise up to other ranks of the NAACP and become a president of this particular chapter. And she's not black. She's going around acting as if she's black, lying about a struggle that she herself did not ever have to endure. It's craziness. And the craziest part about it is that people are actually going out of their way to justify this foolishness. I think that is very offensive. But the fact that people are really giving her a platform and saying, hey, you know what, it's okay if you want to be black. We'll disregard biology, we'll disregard DNA, even though there's nothing black really about you. We're going to allow you to fake and false a struggle that you never had to endure. I don't understand how black folks aren't offended, but it goes to what I've been saying for the longest, no disrespect, that black folks will openly embrace any white liberal. The white liberal can do no wrong to these black folks, and they will embrace them with open arms no matter what foolishness they bring to them.
Well, I guess here's my issue, my biggest, despite the fact that she's a pathological liar. And MSNBC, Billy just showed me this. MSNBC's Dyson contends that Rachel Dolezal is more black than Clarence Thomas.
He's just crazy in itself. He's always on there yelling about nothing.
But just the fact that she could have worked for the NAACP, she could have been a professor of African studies as a white woman.
Yep.
And she sued Howard University as a white woman because it seemed to benefit her. I think she's just clearly a disturbed individual who's a pathological liar. But, that's neither here nor there. She contends that she is black. But she could have accomplished these things as a white woman. Right. And I guess that's what the deception is what I don't like.
And that's why I would never give her a pass, because, the NAACP, they accept non-white. They've always accepted non-black members. So she could have did literally exactly, and this is why I see a lot of people out there really giving her a pass, saying that what a whore. Were you supposed to disregard all the good that she did? No, you're not. But she could have did that same exact thing as exactly who she was, a white woman. Nothing could have changed, but she just decided to lie. Why? I understand. I feel like she really has a mental disorder, and I feel like we should really approach it as such. She has something mentally wrong with her if she really seriously thinks she's physically black when she's not. We know that you're not.
Well, I mean, she's been caught in one lie after another, after another, after another. Yeah. And, it started with the TP thing, so. Yeah, that the mental health side of this is a whole different issue we could spend days on. But okay, now the gentleman that put up the sign, you know what I'm talking about? Put up the sign that said, you know, this is enough basically with the black violence, and I'm not quoting it because I don't have it in front of me. But so we need to quit killing each other.
Right.
There are those that have found this offensive.
There's people that have found this offensive, and I'm so offended by black on black homicide and our inconsistent approach to black on black homicide. It is the number one killer of black men, and 94% of black folks are killed by other black folks, and we don't address it. It is legitimately a problem. Even though we represent only 12-13% of the population, we represent half of the homicide. So statistically, no other race kills their own kind more than we kill our own kind. And it is really, truly an issue that the black leaders are really just failing to, they'll turn a blind eye to that. This is why the situation that happened out here in McKinney is so attractive. Freddie Gray out there in Baltimore, Walter Scott, all of this is so attractive because it fits the narrative of the black person getting a short end of the stick. Even though more often than, like right now, you will find somebody in a predominantly black city being gunned down for next to nothing, not by a white person, but by a person that is the same exact skin tone as them. But we will turn a blind eye. These black leaders, quote unquote, address it, but for whatever reason, because it doesn't fit the narrative, you will not see these black leaders being so adamantly about it. You'll see us every now and then stop.
Eric, they're cutting us off. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back. 256-684.
Is Off the Chain. Weekday mornings 9 to 11 on Talk Radio for Real Life. WEKI.
From the Fox Business Network.
When you need to stand out, Cross Digital makes it happen. Visit crossdig.com to learn how we can help you reach your business goals. That's crossdig.com.
Celebrating capitalism and common sense 24 hours a day. Talk Radio for Real Life. 1490 and 94.7 WEKI.
Welcome back. This is the Rachel Hammer Show. 256-684-8000. Go to Facebook. Like us on Facebook, The Rachel Hammer Show. On with me is Eric July, lead singer of Backwards. BACKWORDZ. Go find his music. I like it. I like it a lot. All right, Eric. So this is we're almost done, but this is our final short little segment. So how do we change the narrative?
Oh man, it's really just going to take
question.
a lot of guys, like definitely myself, a lot of African Americans, people of color that have really just woke up. Rather, it's going to take a lot of those guys to really just really be aggressive and just putting out the truth rather than what fits the narrative. I do feel like a lot of people definitely that grew up with the same struggle and grew up out of that, they feel like. And I know why, they feel like that they'll be considered less black if they speak against some of the situations and some of the experiences that they themselves had to actually go through.
Well, how has your personal relationship changed with the community that you grew up in?
Well, I am still closely tied to the people I grew up with. That I've been able to really, I feel like, save a lot of people that grew up doing the same nonsense that I did. However, you are going to always have those guys that consider me somewhat less black now because I speak against some of those same acts. And it's really ironic that I've been called more. I never got called a derogatory name as a black person until I started speaking against the same self-destructive things that I myself used to participate in. But back when I was, doing a lot of self-destructive things, being violent, and really going out of my way to fight my own kind, I never once was considered a person that hated black people. It wasn't until I started speaking against the narrative that those liberals love to put out there that I suddenly became derogatory names, not by my white counterparts, but by my own kind, Uncle Toms and things like that.
Well, and that's what we were talking about earlier in the hour, and that amazes me because you get behind Obama because he's black, because we need a black president in the House, and I have no problem with having a black president. I am a huge fan of Dr. Carson's, but it seems that when you get to the more conservative side of it, it doesn't matter what color you are, they do not like you.
Yeah, that's it. That's truth, and it's because they've been fed for decades these lies that the Democratic Party is supposed to be the party that and the liberals are supposed to be the ones that really support them, when they have done nothing for them. They've been destructive. They've ran these predominantly black and minority cities into the ground that were once prosperous, and the proof is in the pudding. But it's really just going to take a lot of guys like myself to be aggressive with putting it in their face and saying, hey, we know what they've been saying, but this right here is the truth.
Well, and I absolutely wish you the best with that, because it is so much different coming from you than it is coming from me.
Right.
If I go out there and I say the exact same thing you're saying, there is a whole group of people that are going to turn around and tell me I'm nothing but racist.
Oh, yeah, most definitely, which is why I say now more than ever they need guys like the Ben Carsons. They need guys like myself to really just come out there and really just tell it like it is, because like you said, they're going to already label you some kind of way. It's really just going to have to come from within the community of one of them. They're going to have one of them tell them, hey, what you're doing is self-destructive. Our community is self-destructive. We need to quit blaming people that aren't really even in control of our own cities.
And it's sad because Detroit's numbers speak for themselves.
Oh, yes.
You look at the numbers of murders this year in Chicago, shootings, the number of murders in Baltimore through the roof. Mm-hmm. And you're right. Most of it is black on black crime.
Yeah.
And
that's exactly what it is.
What are the Democrats? I guess you look back and say, I wish we had time to answer this. And Eric, I hope you'll come back on.
Most definitely. Do not hesitate to reach back out to me. I'm glad you guys had me on. I really do appreciate that. Let's do this again.
Absolutely, please. Okay, the band is Backwards. This is Eric July. I thank you again so much for being with me today. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Eric, have a great night. The rest of you
too.
Drive careful.
You too. The Dana Show is next. Then at 9, Late Night with Jim Bohannon on Talk Radio for Real Life. WEKI.
Tradition at Stanley's is a little something different for everybody.